What are the characteristics of a financial model? So this is the most simple structure of a model, but it is very important that in your model you can identify these three sections, and needs to be very easy to find them and very delimited. Okay, so the model will be composed of three parts. So the inputs, the calculations, and the outputs. So basically the inputs will go through the calculations, and then from the calculations, you will have an output that is usually the financial statements or the returns, or a simple dashboard that you can show to your investment committee or to your boss or whatever. But there are some important things that we need to bear in mind about the three different sections. So in the input section, we will plug in all the assumptions, and these assumptions usually will be given by external sources, or assumptions, purely assumptions that the analysts do about certain things. This section will have all the hard-coded numbers, and also from the input section, we can run what is called the sensitivities that we will look at them, I think, tomorrow. Okay, so the important thing is that all the hard-coded numbers need to be only in the input section. So you will not find a hard-coded number in the calculations or in the outputs. And this is quite important because it's very, you can see, it's very common that people start to plugging in hard-coded numbers in the calculations, for example, and this make the model not reliable, and it exposes you to have a lot of errors and mistakes in your calculations. So please keep them in the inputs, and keep them very easy to identify what is a hard-coded number and why you have this hard-coded number. Then in the calculation section is where we will do all the formulas, all the calculations for the model. It is important that we will have that you have the same formula across all the columns. So basically, a good model is a model where you can delete all the columns and just leave the first column, and just by copy and pasting the formulas in the first column, you can get the same answer. Okay, we will do this test later today, so you can see what I mean by this. But this is the first test that model auditors do to see if a model is correctly built, or there is a fundamental mistake in the calculations. Also, this is quite obvious, but I will mention it because it's also quite important. The direction of the model needs to go from top to bottom and left to right. So please do not go the other way around, right to left or something like that, because it's not the way Excel was built. So please be consistent on this. And consistency between column structures. So we will go through this when we see the template. But basically what this means is that you start your calculations in all the tabs in the same column. So this makes the model quite transparent, and we will learn how to do this later today. So somebody is asking about unit conversion constant. Are they okay to hard code within the calculation? So I will show what is the best way to include the unit conversion and the currencies and these kind of things that you use quite a lot throughout the model. So the best practices per se says that the only hard-coded numbers that you are allowed to have in the formulas is 1 and zeros. So even things that are quite obvious, like, I don't know, the number of months. So if you multiply by 12 or divide by 12, And it's very obvious in the formula that it's related to the number of months in the year. Even that in the FASO standards is not allowed, but we can see what we can do about this and how we can have a more, let's say, best practices approach to this, okay? And then the third part of the model, it will be the outputs, which is the most important part because it's the result of all the work in the model, and it's where you will base your investment decision. So the outputs will be the financial statements. You will have also a dashboard with the key outputs like the IRR, the yield, the gearing, I don't know, the key dates of the project. These kind of things will be in the dashboard. Then you may want to have some graphs to show, I don't know, the revenues or how is the debt repaid. These kind of graphs are very common. The returns. Important that the outputs are only linked to the calculation, so you don't have any calculations in the outputs. It's just presenting what you have done in the calculation section. And also, it's very important that you don't put hard-coded numbers in the output. So there is no point of putting a return that is hard-coded because then it's not an output from the calculations, right? We can discuss about macros and copy pasting and all that stuff later. But let's say in general, you should not have a hard-coded number in the outputs. Okay?